What up, YouTube?
Hey guys.
Welcome back to another episode. We got some, I saw some headlines, so I think I may have an idea of what Kevin's about to talk about. But, there's a new plan that Trump just dropped. Apparently, he stole it. I don't know who he stole it from. But there's some names that dropped in some headlines this morning. I'm not sure if you're watching this, you saw it already, but there's some selections made. Not sure if that's what he's about to get into. If not, we're gonna get into it after watching some of this. But let's see what Kevin was talking about. Who got stolen plans and whatnot.
Donald Trump just stole my plan, and I could not be happier. This is great news. This is news that I, by the way, got ridiculed for. Here is me on the Patrick Bet-David show. Reaction to meet Kevin's plan to tackle homelessness. I had people talking about it at Cal Matters, the Washington Post, the Associated
everybody was
Press.
talking about this.
They even called me at The Verge the Game Stonk YouTuber. How a Game Stonk YouTuber is shaking up the California recall. And of course, they quote you in funny ways. By Big, he explained he wants to end homelessness in 60 days by tasking the National Guard with compassionately serving the homeless community and moving them into vacant buildings. Well, it's a lot more detailed than that. But on the right, there are his proposals to make all coronavirus safety measures optional, to ditch the income tax for anyone making less than $250,000, and use the National Guard to get all unhoused Californians off the streets and give trained gun owners more rights. Yeah. Here's the Associated Press. Paffrath said he'd use his emergency powers to build 80 shelters that would provide substance abuse help, mental health treatment, and educational support on site, as well as meals and shower. While they're under construction, he dispatched the National Guard to help homeless people in the streets by passing out supplies and building temporary bathrooms. Now, I'm not going to show you my full plan. You could see that yourself. In fact, I wrote here, I'm officially running for governor. Here's my 20-part plan. I went through this entire 20-part plan in May of 2021. And regarding homelessness, I'll give you a quick summary of it. Day one, you deploy the National Guard by declaring a state of emergency. Then what you do is you take over vacant buildings that are empty anyway because office space is missing or it's not being used, or they're vacant malls or whatever. And you turn them into rehabilitation centers where not every homeless person is going to be rehabilitated, but at least you can concentrate your efforts. Nobody sleeps on the streets because people don't sleep on the streets, they die on the streets. That's a big deal. And instead, you have to stay in one of these places. Unless you can stay awake, then you can do whatever. You just can't sleep on the streets. It's that simple. But that way you can concentrate your efforts for helping people find a job, for helping people get the drug support they need or the medical support they need. Everything's at one place. People who need workers can come there and find, hopefully, some people who are still savable and able to work. I know not everybody's going to be savable, but at least you have a safe space. It's ridiculous that people have to step over homeless people on the streets. Listen to what Donald Trump says, and then I want you to see how close it is, or how similar it is, to some of the things that I've just mentioned.
See, I'll tell you this right now. How softly he just said everything, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a good plan. I can already tell you that coming from Trump is gonna come out to sound a little bigoted to a lot of people. But let's see how he's coming with it.
Which again, you can see in my full 20-part plan. You saw it in the articles over here. And it's worth listening just to this, I would say, right here. Governor to deploy National Guard to end homelessness, May 21, 2021. Just listen to about 5 seconds of this, and then we'll get into Trump.
Day one in office as governor, I'm going to declare a state of emergency, and we will deploy the National Guard everywhere there are homeless people in California. And guess what we're going to do? For the first 30 days, we are going to provide 3 meals a day, clothing,
Feed them, clothe them, be able to reintegrate people. Like, how are you supposed to get a job if you smell like urine because you haven't showered? It's crazy. Anyway, now listen to Donald Trump's plan, and I have to say, I couldn't be happier to see a politician actually utilize this idea.
Getting 8 ads every 20 minutes is actually diabolical. Meet Pi,
Diabolical.
the ad blocker that
Kevin,
actually
you're
works on
diabolical.
Twitch, aka
Yeah. There's some differences. Donald Trump talks about tent cities as opposed to using vacant buildings. I prefer vacant buildings because, quite frankly, it's easier to air condition those in especially hot areas. Like Arizona, it's not supposed to sound like a luxury, but in Arizona, if it's 100 degrees outside, now you got to have air conditioning for every freaking tent. Whereas you could more easily do this in some existing buildings with existing HVAC systems that already, are there and not being used. But anyway, let's listen to Donald Trump.
Great cities have become unlivable, unsanitary nightmares, surrendered to the homeless, the drug addicted, and the violent and dangerously deranged. We're making many suffer for the whims of a deeply unwell few, and they are unwell indeed. The homeless have no right to turn every park and sidewalk into a place for them to squat and do drugs. Americans should not have to step over piles of needles and waste as they walk down a street in a beautiful
Right on.
city, or at least once beautiful city, because they've changed so much over the last 10 years. Our first consideration should be the rights and safety of the hardworking, law-abiding citizens who make
Yes.
our society function. When I'm back in the White House, we will use every tool, lever, and authority to get the homeless off our streets. We want to take care of them, but they have to be off our streets. There is nothing compassionate about letting these individuals live in filth and squalor rather than getting them the help that they need. We need professionals to help them. For a small fraction of what we spend upon Ukraine, we could take care of every homeless veteran in America.
Bro,
Our
we've been
veterans have
screaming
treated
this for
horribly.
months.
Likewise, with all of
Bro.
the money we will save by
Bro, go back and watch all of my reactions to do with anything political on this channel, and you gonna you gonna see me screaming over and over. All of this money we sending out, so many people are homeless. It's like, it's really a big ass problem, and it's crazy
really
that like.
It's the fact that we were even sending all that money in the middle of a homeless crisis.
Like,
there's a
like, but we
crisis.
actually got somebody, paying attention. You know what I mean? Like,
ending mass unskilled migration. We will have a huge dividend to address this crisis in our own country. Under my strategy, working with states, we will ban urban camping wherever possible. Violators of these bans will be arrested, but they will be given the option to accept treatment and services if they're willing to be rehabilitated. Many
Yep.
of them don't want that,
Yep.
but we'll give them the option.
Yep.
We'll then open up large parcels of inexpensive land, bring in doctors, psychiatrists, social
Yep.
workers, and drug rehab specialists, and create 10 cities where the homeless can be
Again, I
Located
just
in-
mentioned this. I'm sure in Donald Trump's plan
What?
here.
This
he could
used to be
also
what the
utilize
left
vacant
side
buildings,
stood
and maybe
for.
that's what the
this used to be what the left side stood for. You feel me? Like, this used to be how the left side used to talk about helping the world. Helping, you feel me? Like your neighbor. You dig what I'm saying? Like, this used to be like what was the type of, but now it's on some, you know what I need.
they'll end up doing. I predict that's what they'll end up doing because these 10 cities look really beautiful, but again, they're very, like, you gotta run utilities and everything to these. Like, you may as well just use existing vacant buildings where people already are. That was one of the problems, right? Is homeless are in many different areas. So you got homeless in Santa Monica, for example. California's got a lot of problems. You're gonna ship them all to like the desert and or outside of Bakersfield or Nevada. Well, people in Bakersfield or people in Nevada, they don't want the homeless folks in the community until certainly they've been rehabilitated. So one of the ways that we found that you could potentially solve this is just use the existing vacant spaces that are already in those areas. And
They're everywhere.
then anytime you have a homeless person who falls asleep or camps out on the street, you can bring them to a local place. It's not like you're shipping them on a truck and sending them like freight hours away. Instead, it's like, hey, we're going to take you 5 minutes to here, and then you could shower, go to the bathroom, clean up, have some food, talk about getting rehabilitated, get the medical help support, or whatever you need. And if you want, you can just go walk back outside when you're done. It's not like you're trapped there or you're a prisoner. You have an opportunity to reintegrate into the environment that you came from. And so I think that there's some use to that.
So
The problems identified. But we'll open up our cities again, make them livable and make them beautiful.
Yep.
For those who are just temporarily down on their luck, we will work to help them quickly reintegrate into a normal life. For those who have addictions, substance abuse, and common mental health problems, we will get them into treatment. And for
Kevin. Rad.
those who are severely mentally ill and deeply disturbed, we will bring them back to mental institutions where they belong, with the goal of reintegrating them back into society once they are well enough to manage. It's a tough task, a very tough task.
It is.
What's taken place on the streets, what's taken place with their taking so much drugs. But the fact is, we're going to try. This strategy will be far better and also far less expensive than spending vast sums of taxpayer money to house the homeless in luxury
Yes.
hotels without
God.
addressing their
Exactly. Addressing the underlying issue. Thank you, Trump. Thank you. Like, these are the things that, again, the title of the video is like, Donald Trump stole my plan. But it's actually, I'm so grateful for seeing these similar ideas out there, whether it came from me or someone else. Like, I'm not trying to say that, like, oh, when I ran for governor, these ideas were adopted by everyone. Although we saw a lot of these ideas adopted in other political campaigns, like political
You're
ideas
like, oh,
that
no,
are
they
good
did
start
get them.
circulating around the world, really.
No,
And,
stand
that
on
was
that,
one of the
Kevin.
big things
Stand
when
on
I ran
that.
for governor. And California needs a new governor. This is a freaking disaster out here. But when I ran for governor during the California recall, I said, look, I recognize this is a long shot. You know, I'm a YouTuber. That's what everybody called me. Oh, YouTuber. And they talk down to that. The best I can hope for is obviously winning. But if we lose, the next best thing is that my ideas win and live on. This makes me so freaking happy.
underlying issues, and they have so many
dub
of
is a
these
dub, man.
underlying issues and needs.
A dub is a dub.
This is how I will end the scourge of homelessness and make our cities
Like,
clean
that's why
and
you get
safe
into
and
politics.
beautiful once
You know what I
again.
mean? To really get
We will
your
do it.
ideals
We will
across.
bring
Whether
back
you win or
America.
lose.
Thank
You
you.
know what I mean? Like,
This is exactly
That's a-
what you
that's
got
a
to do
big
in
win.
California too. Like, yet another chance in 2026. Whenever somebody else runs for governor, they could do it as well. It ain't gonna be Gavin Newsom anymore because he's finally at his term limit. I'm so grateful to know he's at his term limit and out of here. I can't wait for him to be out of here. Tired of this guy. Anyway, thank you so very much for watching, folks. And if you want to see any more about the Meet Kevin Governor,
hey, listen. So it seems like Trump's getting to work. I mean, like, Trump's getting to work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if day 1, day 2, day 3 in office looked like, you know what I'm saying, instant mobilization off of, you know what I'm saying, these words, then it's just like, you know what I mean? Everybody need to go ahead, sit back, relax, start stacking your bread, pay attention to the markets, and let it work itself out. You know what I'm saying? And we can move on to some other topics. We're gonna stay on him. But we can, you know what I'm saying, start broadening and stretching a little bit away from it. Now I wanna say, Kevin, shout out to Kevin. If you watching this from California, you know, you should probably vote for him. He seems pretty cool. If I was living in California, I probably would. But honestly, I think if I was living in California, we probably would have left by now. What you think? You think we would have stayed?
In California?
Yeah, no, we probably would have left.
Them wildfires would have had me like, nigga, it's time to go. The
Bro,
world's
California's
on fire.
always on fire, dog.
So
Like,
sad.
that's gotta tell you something. I mean, that's gotta tell you, like, something. If nothing else about all of this, remember, California's still on fire.
That's not funny.
It's not funny.
It's not funny,
It's
but
not
it's like,
funny.
damn.
It's just the
y'all
fact that,
always
like,
on fire.
always
Like,
on fire. And it's like, I don't know.
Crazy.
I read the Bible.
Right. Heavy on that.
Listen, To anybody that got some property messed up from the fires, you know what I'm saying? Condolences to your property. You know what I'm saying? I know that sucks. It's mostly like forests and stuff as far as I'll be hearing it just be apparently spontaneously catching on fire and shit. You know what I'm saying? Somebody did I think set off a mountain on fire in California, if I'm not mistaken. But that ain't got nothing to do with me. We're gonna catch y'all in the next episode. I love y'all. Make sure you're kind to somebody there. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, and drop a little comment. You feel me? Let the algorithm know that you like it, you like being here and whatnot. You feel me? We'll catch y'all in the next episode.
Bye.